It doesn't matter if the clocks move forward or backwards. It's history and headlocks time.
History and Headlocks, class is in session.
Yeah, I usually just let the intro play, but I needed to get that off my system because I woke up later than I wanted to be, and now I am in an iffy mood today. So
Yeah, I think most of us here in the states that have to change our time are feeling the same way.
well, there's really nothing to change. It just did it by itself.
Yeah, it's just like I said, we were chatting before. I was still awake when the time changed. I was there just you know unwinding for the night and still up a little bit, and then suddenly I have my bedroom lamp set to turn off on its own at 3 a.m. just in case I may have gone out late, haven't been home yet, so that the light isn't on all night. And it just shut off on me out of the blue. And I'm looking at my phone. I said 2, and it suddenly everything changed. And I'm like 2 to 3. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, here you go. Time for bed.
Yeah. I mean, here in the East Coast, it's getting a little better, I'll say, with the weather. We're about to hit the 60s for this week.
Yeah, thank goodness, man.
Snow is finally going away.
We earned that. We earned that good weather because January and February were brutal on some days. Freezing cold, tons of snow that would just was not melting down.
Or it would be coming.
Yeah, or it would melt, and then suddenly another big storm came in.
Yeah, so all the mountains that everybody made should be a little bit left at this point.
Yeah, I see a few random chunks of snow, dirty snow.
It's all dirty, right? If there's a patch of clean snow, I don't know how.
Right? No, it's either covered in soot from like car fumes or covered in doggy stuff.
Shit.
And pee.
Yeah, that's what dogs be doing.
Yeah, so thankfully spring is around the corner. I can feel it in the air. I know people who are dealing with allergies are really feeling it. So
as I look at my Allegra, that's going to be my best friend for the next couple months.
Thank God for allergy shots for me. Whew.
I used to get them, but now I just don't really go to them anymore. I just take the Allegra now, so it's pretty much...
As long as it works, that's all that matters.
If anybody has allergy problems, I recommend Allegra. We're not sponsored by anything. This is not a sponsorship. Everybody, don't tell them History and Headlocks sent you to get the Allegra. They're looking like who?
Drop us some coins.
Yeah, seriously. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing today? History and Headlocks. Mike, Ari are here to talk about. Oh Jesus, the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
When I was only 3 years old.
Yeah, you were a little thing. I was in my teen. It lasted from like my mid-teens to very early 20s.
Right. So if we're talking the Attitude Era, I would say from late 97 to early 2001.
Yep.
safe to say.
Yep.
So, what, 4 years?
Yeah, a good chunk of years there.
And in that 4 years, we're going to talk about a lot.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of things
Oh
happened.
my god, yeah. It was like non-stop.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Would you say this is the most, or one of the most popular time periods in wrestling, aside from the Golden Era with like Hogan and Top?
Absolutely. I think so. I mean, I know a lot of people look back and they're like, it wasn't as good as it was. But honestly, it was wild. Yes. There were some storylines that were like preposterous. Absolutely. But that's what made the Attitude Era the Attitude Era.
What do you think what made it stand out, in your opinion?
I think just the drastic change from the, the golden era into the new era, right? And then it just, those two eras were very kid friendly, very PG, very cartoony. And then out of the blue, it just became this darker, grittier, edgier, more adult product.
Right? Would you say borderline adult content?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're to a point where it was like, can you get away with this on television?
Right. It went from rated G, not PG, rated G to rated R real quick.
But yeah, and the last one we talked about the new generation era.
Right.
Very cookie cutter, like straight to the point. Everybody had a day job, and then
had a day job. Right.
And then I would say, like I said, beginning of '97, we start to see some semblance of new attitude.
Yes.
Where your boy Bret Hart had a big potty mouth on him.
Oh yeah.
On the one episode of Raw. Where
would
you say that was the beginning of like them maybe teasing attitude?
Yeah, I would say so, because Bret Hart was, this good guy hero all this time, right? And he wasn't as intense as Hulk Hogan with the, take your vitamins and say your prayers, but he was the good guy. He was always the one that took the high road. He never cheated to win. He never stooped low in his promos, right? He always kept himself classy. And suddenly it was just like something in him snapped. And he went off in the ring and just started cursing everyone out. And I remember I was like, what's going on?
Is this one of those segments that you can remember from memory from the verbiage, visually, like you can remember what you saw?
I remember him just just stomping around in the ring.
Right.
He had the mic in his hand and he's like, this is bullshit.
Like even before that, because it's like he just got screwed out of a cage match in the main event on Raw.
So
Cage is still half up, and then Vince decides, let me get a word with Bret. And then he goes, you must be upset, Hitman. Pushes him down.
Right.
Upset's not a goddamn word for it. This is bullshit.
He was just so pissed. And Vince is just like, oh.
He ran out of there so fast, because I think this was the beginning of like a wrestler attacking authority figure, because at that time Vince was still the commentator.
Right. No, yeah, exactly. The knowledge of him being the owner was known only to very few people.
Maybe like some people would say it in a promo, but not like it wasn't especially like, oh, by the way, Vince McMahon is the owner of the company.
No, never. Right. He was always like you said, like he was a commentator. Or he would interview wrestlers, or he would host, at the time was, actually that was before, but he used to host a show here and there. But then it suddenly, after that, is kind of when they started to acknowledge the type of authority that Vince really had. Yeah. He was the boss.
There'll be some instances where I remember like the Godwins being like, hey, McMahon, are you afraid of us becoming tag jams or what? Like it would be like, okay, that was like a random nonsense. So like before, like when Diesel would be like, hey, Vinnie Mac, are you happy now? Or like random stuff. Even like for Diesel too.
Mm-hmm.
When like he flipped off the Undertaker, screwing him out of a title match, you'd be like, did he just do what I think he did? Like that was like another sign of attitude.
Right. Exactly.
And then also Diesel cut the promo saying it like from now on, if I don't see anybody with a black glove like me, I'm not extending my fist out for you. It's like, okay, like,
Alrighty then.
what kind of baby face are you?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely say that too. Like, Diesel and HBK were really the precursor of blurring the lines a bit.
Right.
And then, obviously we know that Diesel left, Razor left. Now they're over in WCW.
Right.
And I know for sure that what was going on in WCW at the time, where they also went from rated G to rated, more PG-13, I should say,
Right.
with the New World Order, that they just completely reformatted themselves.
Yeah, they were the very cool alternative to what Raw was presenting at the time.
Exactly.
And then in 97, that's when it all changed.
Right. So that was definitely the catalyst for WWF to change, because they realized, oh, we're losing out, and these guys are taking it a step ahead, and they're being more adult driven, whereas we're still focused on the little ones. Maybe it's time that we start focusing on the older crowd, because the little ones from the 80s are now teenagers and young adults.
Right. And just to go back on Brett for a second, did it ever feel, or as a fan watching, do you ever think he felt vindicated, or do you think were you a Bret Hart, were you pro Bret Hart? Did you agree with his views, or at least with his stance? Because he'd be like, I'm getting screwed here. Stone Cold screws me. Shawn screws me. Sid screws me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those where if I'm a fan of someone, unless I actually meet them in person, I'm never gonna stop being a fan. So yeah, I mean, I always have Bret's back. I would, as a fan, he was always my number one, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if he was a heel, I was still his number one fan.
So even when he was doing the pro Canada, anti-America character,
yeah.
I mean, nowadays I think that'd be a very different meaning.
He spoke facts. He spoke facts.
Yeah, and I mean, in 2026, I think everybody is still, or even more, anti-American now more than ever. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and then when we talk about the Attitude Era, we have to talk about the biggest one, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who pretty much looked like a normal guy. Guy from Texas, just wears black trunks, black boots, black knee pads, black wrist tape, shaved his head bald, and had quite a mouth on him.
Exactly.
Probably arguably one of the best talkers in wrestling.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
And it's so good to see where he made that transition from ringmaster to soft-spoken, really didn't say much, to this loudmouth Texan who said he would kick everybody's ass. It doesn't matter who you are, wrestler, announcer, or even a fan.
You're right.
And what was your overall thoughts on him at this point?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it because, I remember seeing him in WCW as Stunning Steve, right, with the long blonde hair and the robe, almost very Nature Boy-esque,
right,
in his style. And then you could kind of see the start of it once he became part of the Hollywood Blondes with Brian Pillman, and they would be very callous heels, very cocky. He started showing the side of him that nobody really saw. It was a lot more animated, a lot more
very goofy.
Yes, but I just want to say very charismatic. Yes, he was very charismatic, and we never got to really see that when he was Stunning Steve, right? So when he went to WWF, it felt very like step back almost in the beginning with the whole ringmaster gimmick, where he just kind of came in and, like you said, he was just very, very basic, very generic wrestler number one looking, and
first name the, last name ringmaster.
Ringmaster, right? Like you can see him in the video game, just in black tights, doing the little bobble back and forth. And then
one of Ted DiBiase's like $1 million corporation members.
Right. He had the belt. He carried the belt around. And then once he had that King of the Ring match with Jake the Snake, and he cut that promo, that Austin 316 says, "I just kicked your ass" promo.
Yeah.
It just, once those words came out his mouth, there was no going back. There was just no going back. He nailed that promo perfectly.
Apparently, it was off the cuff.
Off the cuff, exactly.
Because he had his match. Had his first King of the Ring match earlier in the night. He had busted his lip. Had to go to the hospital, get that stitched.
Right.
Then had to come back, and then he had to ask Michael, like, what did Jake say? Because he was going to mention it in his promo.
Yes.
And then Michael said he talked about the gospel, he talked about the Bible. So Steve was like, okay,
right,
let me think of something. And they of John 3:16. Now, and then Austin 3:16, which would then become the most popular selling shirt of the late 90s.
Iconic.
It's still sold to this day.
And not only that, but so many spin-offs outside of wrestling have done it too, where you'll see some random name and 316 with the same style, that black shirt, very harsh, basic lettering.
It's so simple.
It's so simple, yet so effective. And man, once he said that it was no going back for him, he just took off like a rocket. They strapped that rocket on his back, and he just, he was still mid-card, but he was kicking ass in the mid-card level. Yeah,
he was definitely, like the famous expression, he was about to break through the glass ceiling.
Exactly.
But you brought up like his time in WCW. Have you ever seen his stuff in ECW? Because I mean, that's pretty much where you would see the attitude that was Stone Cold. Because you don't think of, when you think of Steve Austin in ECW, they have made, I think, maybe 5 matches in total, but a lot of his promos, I mean, mocking Hulk Hogan, him mocking Eric Bischoff.
Because
this is where the big boys play with each other.
He pretty much brought in the character he has started to develop in WCW in the Hollywood Blondes into ECW, and then he had a little more creative freedom there to be more scandalous.
Because he could do, like, he did like the imitation of Hulk Hogan, and then he'd be silent, quiet, like very methodical, like it just sounded like very scary. Like, this dude's about to will beat the shit out of you. Very
sociopathic.
Yes, and then that's where he shaved his head back then in the ECW. Right. But then when he finally stepped away from the $1 million corporation, from Ted DiBiase, he won the King of the Ring. He really didn't do much for the next couple of months, which is weird to look back on, until Bret Hart came back after Mania.
Right.
And think about that. You're going to work with the number one guy in the company, theoretically, at that point, who just took, 6 months off after the Iron Man match with Shawn?
Right. He took that time off, and then came back, and my God, that's one of the best feuds.
If you put the letter S in front of Hitman, you know my feelings on Bret Hart. I just love the commentators like, okay, hold, everybody stop it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. But I enjoyed their feud from day one. Even,
it was a perfect mix.
Even though Bret was still my number one guy, I really enjoyed the chemistry they had. Right. They played off each other's face and heel so perfect. Because like I said, Bret was that good guy, the honorable, classy man. Meanwhile, Austin's a potty mouth and a half over here. Bret's still trying to maintain his dignity throughout the changes.
To use this analogy, Bret is the person that you want to bring home to dad, and Steve's the opposite of what you want to bring home to dad.
Right, exactly.
Like, hello, Mr. Sarantino. God damn it, son. Let me take your daughter out. Like, okay, I'm not taking... No.
Like, no, get out the house right now.
But, yeah, and then other characters along the way. I mean, it's so funny to look back and see how Hunter Hearst Helmsley, proper rich snob from British Connecticut, I think that's right.
British Connecticut, yeah.
British Connecticut. To potty mouth asshole in DX. And then this is where I'm going to switch over to us talking about DX, where his real life friend Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
Them two were very polarizing.
Oh yes,
I would say early on in the Attitude Era
yes, it was.
because they were very, I don't know, what's the right word? Political.
Yeah, they would. They would actually throw around a lot of stuff that would have been kept behind the curtain.
I mean, Shawn Michaels accusing Bret Hart on live television of cheating on his wife, saying you've been having some sunny days lately, Bret.
Meanwhile, it was Sean having the sunny days.
Yeah, and me also, let's be real here too. Sean was not in the best condition in the world,
No, he
popping
wasn't.
pills like an
He
asshole.
was definitely at a very low point of his life in that term, in terms of his addictions and his demons, as he called it.
Yeah, which now he says he pretty much was. He like listen, I admit I was an asshole back then,
Yeah, yeah,
which maybe more than asshole, but
yeah.
maybe devilish like in some cases.
You hear a lot of the stories from back then, and the fact that he says a lot of times that I don't really remember. So it just makes you wonder: is he just saying that to cover his ass, or was he just that pilled out and God knows what else out that he genuinely just doesn't remember how he behaved?
Because there's always been because any shooting interview you see, there's been some of this that has a Shawn Michaels story.
Somebody always has a story about him doing some crazy stuff or saying something or doing something to somebody.
Yeah, like Bob Holly said, like back in the day, they had vouchers for the dinners that they would get after the show, and he swore that Shawn Michaels ripped his up, so Bob Holly wouldn't eat after the show. So then you hear stupid story or bullying stories. I'll say in that instance,
bullying stories, right? Like we heard about him and Hunter bullying The Rock when he first came in.
and even lanes to try and sabotage his career.
Yeah, and Bret was the one that kind of had his back. Yeah. Bret had The Rock's back at the time.
And you think about it too, like that stupid little thing that they would have backstage, and also how Shawn how disrespected Rock's mother for Shawn did a booking for the Mayavias in Hawaii, I believe, and that stems to that them two never worked together, never had a program.
Right.
They'd be on TV together on those rare occasions. You see them face to face, but never a one-on-one match.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny how when The Rock had his that short-lived show, Young Rock, that was like a little biopic of his youth and early part of his career, where he acknowledged a lot of what was going on behind the scenes in the beginning of his career. He didn't use their names. He made up names to hide their identity, but
you knew clearly who it was.
You knew clearly who they were talking about. It was the two culprits, Shawn and Hunter.
Yeah.
Even though they did have a Hunter on the show. They did have a character playing Hunter on the show, but looked more like Christian to me, but the actor. But I think when he addressed Shawn, he made sure to use a different name.
Yeah, I think nowadays there are good terms, but it's rare to I think there's been 1-2 interviews where Rox was asked did you ever was there anybody you didn't get to work with that you wanted to work with? I don't think Shawn's name was ever mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how that may.
He just felt indifferent. It was like whatever. I don't want to work with him. I didn't want to.
Yeah, and then you can't blame a person. Nobody would want to work with someone who made you feel less than. I mean, I'm sure they were probably calling him nipple baby and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if that term was being used back then, but I'm sure they made references to that to him.
Oh, you think because of his background?
If you're just here because of your name, I could see that. I could see people doing that, especially they came up. And it's not to say that The Rock didn't come up in the indie scene. He did. He had his indie run, right? But as Flex Cavana down in Tennessee. But
I was gonna say, I wouldn't think that was an indie run. I think it's more of because WWE. He wanted to be. I mean, once the football thing didn't work out for him, he pretty much just joined.
No, he did
wrestling with his dad help.
No, he actually did do indie. On his show, he acknowledged that he did indies down south for about a year, and wasn't getting paid crap. But
he that story where he used to steal Snickers from 7-Eleven or some stupid shit.
Then he went back and
bought a bunch of them.
bought a bunch of them. Yeah. So stuff like that. Like a lot of people don't realize the come up of some people, and they just assume that you're here because mom or dad, right? But but yeah, Sean and Hunter, when you hear the stories of what they were doing, I mean, you also hear the story of Sonny's bag.
Go on.
Oh, you didn't know?
You brought it up. You tell
Somebody,
the tale. Up on your
in her, I guess her gear bag, and nobody at first knew who it was or wanted to say who it was, and it turned out that it was Sean. Decided to take a big dump in her gear bag.
Well, I thought it was Sean Waltman, right? That's what you're saying?
No, Shawn Michaels.
Oh. Because I know I've heard that X-Pac was the proverbial bag shitter.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in the case of Mark Henry, he would put shit in his meatball sandwich, and Mark Henry would then eat a meatball shit sandwich.
So just like,
and we're not even at the point of like talking about the most like disturbing or inappropriate stuff. Because I mean, this is the same X-Pac who then went on television and did a blackface into his best Mark Henry impression. And that's
that's another segment that people do look back at and go, what the hell were they thinking?
In a long list of what the hells.
Lots of what the hells, yeah.
But a quick thing on, at least with DX, because that was pretty much them two politicking to be together. The company had no idea or any like rush to say, let's put Hunter Hearst Helmsley with the boy toy Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Character-wise, it makes no sense.
It didn't make any sense.
Why is the rich kid going to be with this, I don't know, sexy boy from Texas?
This sexy snotty. But that's where I think that's where they could have had that bond where they were both, good-looking blonde dudes and they're assholes and they think they're better than you. And that's their common bond right there. That was their common bond.
But you know who I think might have been, who was missing that could have made that act better, in my opinion at least? Mm-hmm. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you would have took, and I really don't want to go into the whole current call nonsense because everybody has opinion about that, but if you would have put all four of them together and just say, hey, this is the Clique, or you want to call them DX, it could have had a bigger impact than what DX is already proclaimed by, and that's by the company themselves.
Yeah.
Because when you look back at DX, they did some stupid things, like early DX, I'll say, for at least with Sean, Hunter, and Chyna. We'll get into her in a bit.
Yeah.
But early on, very racial tone stuff, very inappropriate. Like, also they would say backstage stuff on television that you would think, like, why say that at this moment? But, and then later on when you add the three chuckleheads, X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn, then you see funny to, again, racial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, oh, like, remember the tank? They invented WCW. It's like, okay, one, not a tank, and two, they were stopped at the gate.
Right.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, they just showed up to the building.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in the case for Chyna, where we mentioned her, I think we mentioned her a bunch of times, but here in this Attitude Era, stood out from every other woman on this roster who will get into how the company felt about their women and how they looked, but Chyna, very masculine looking, very built. Early on, Chyna was probably was money right away. Mm-hmm. And she was going to be going to WCW allegedly. Until Sean and Hunter had to convince Shane to convince Vince to bring her in.
Right.
Which, if you're Vince and you're a body type of guy, why not bring her in?
Right. He loved that kind of stuff.
Like, did he just stop at the face? Was like, no, I don't want her.
Or the lack of, at the time, her lack of puppies.
Oh, Jesus.
He first came in,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Like, he probably thought to himself, what value does she bring? Because he didn't really value, like you said earlier, he didn't really value the women beyond the physical.
There was no women's division at this point.
All he valued was how they looked and how hot they could look on TV. That's really it. We know that.
And there was no women's division because Medusa had, I believe, like at the end of the New Generation, jumped ship and she dropped the title in the garbage.
Right. And they didn't. And from what I understand, WWE was okay with that. I mean, WWF was okay with it. They didn't care. They didn't want to continue the women's division, so they were like, "The belt's yours to do whatever you want with it." So she threw it out.
Because there wasn't that many women on the roster. I mean, what? Chyna, Melena, Sunny, Sable.
Right, and they were, they brought in Bull Nakano, Bertha Faye.
I mean, they were there for a quick minute, but once the Medusa jump ship, the women's division, they changed their whole outlook on them. I mean, look at Sable. Let's talk about her for a quick second. She was pretty much eye candy, and that's what Vince Russo and Vince McMahon looked at.
That's it.
Where Jim Cornette famously said, like, "Oh, they were like in love with her." It's like, I mean, and Jim Cornette is like one of those special cases, but it's like he didn't see it himself. But like for you, like, was Sable anything to look at that point?
Right. She was just a skinny, busty blonde.
I mean,
and that's what Vince liked. He liked the skinny, busty blondes. I mean, look at what they all look like: Sable, Sunny,
blondes.
What's her face? Austin's ex-wife,
Deborah.
That's all he really liked.
Terry.
Right, Terry. Yeah, exactly. Marlena, Terry. I mean, another one.
All of them not famously, but what look one way, another. Will look one way one day, and the next day you'd be like, something's changed about you.
Yeah, it's like they came off of a conveyor belt in a warehouse, right? An assembly line. They got put through. They came out the other side of it. Busty and blonde.
Which was crazy, and then you get to see your other ones that shockingly didn't get that treatment, which was like an Ivory or Jacqueline.
Right. But, these are women.
Tori.
Ivory and Jackie and Tori they actually brought something to the table.
Yeah.
In terms of wrestling skill, they weren't just hot bodies to look at. They were beautiful. Yeah. They were freaking gorgeous, but they brought more. They were able to step in the ring and actually put on a good match.
Right.
It wasn't about them just standing there in a bikini.
Which 9 times out of 10 was every week.
And they still had to do it, as well as, wrestle. Yeah.
How would you define wrestling, though? It wasn't with grapples or headlocks. It'd be, hey, if you could take the girl's clothes off first, you win.
Right. There was just straight up cat fights, just like you said, like ripping each other by the hair, flinging themselves to the ground, ripping a shirt off. Even a couple of points where you would see them like get their pants yanked off or their skirts yanked off, and they're just down to their skivvies, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I can imagine as a woman you felt very uncomfortable watching this. It was just like, yeah, this is bullshit.
Extremely. It was just, you're just like, here we go. Like to the point where I sometimes question, why do I still watch this?
It's also like, what message are they trying to send here? If you look like this, you get attention. If you don't look like this, you're one of those ugly women.
Right. And it wasn't just in WWF. I mean, we saw it also in ECW.
I was just going to mention.
Francine and Beulah.
The thing is, we would have to look back, but like, who do you think capitalized on it first? You would think ECW did it first, and then WWE just copied it.
Yeah, I will say that for sure. And then WCW had the Nitro Girls, who were just dancers and cheerleaders, and
the clothes never came off.
Yeah, the clothes never came off, but all they did was dance, and a couple of them kind of stepped up and became like valets, But that was it.
I'm sorry, that just felt so dirty to say, but they never took their clothes off.
They never took their clothes off, but they just danced. They were just cheerleaders on the side, They were cheerleaders.
But looking back, that was not the worst idea ever. If you can have like breaks, or you want to show. Yeah. Nowadays, when they do these stupid advertisements every fucking segment, why not do some entertainment? Throw some dancers out there. It doesn't have to be girls. It could be guys too.
You put out some singers, something. Musical numbers. Why not?
Let's be something quick though. I'm not gonna have somebody come out there and sing for a second and then go away.
Yeah, no. What's that? They could come out and do a little run, a little verse.
But when we talk about characters and the attitude there, because I want to save like all this storyline stuff for coming up, but a character that stayed in the company from his debut in the Hulkamania era to the new generation was the Undertaker, who went through a drastic character change here.
Yes, he did.
And one of those was, hey, he has a brother.
Yes.
What was your early thoughts on this? When because let's also say the early starts of this story was, you're a murderer,
right?
Your brother told me, and he's alive.
Yes. I actually loved it a lot because it humanized the Undertaker. You know what I mean? Because he was always like this zombie funeral director, right? And the eye rolls and very stiff and only said "rest in peace" and stuff like that.
Or my creatures of the night,
right? Or a couple of little things here and there, but he was always seen as like this supernatural monster. So here comes a story where he had a childhood, he had parents, right?
Yeah.
And you realize
Paul Bearer was there.
Yeah, Paul Bearer was lingering around in the background of his childhood, and you realize, okay, he actually is a person, and something made him into the monster that he became, which is the Undertaker.
Right.
And it was, now we realize it's the trauma that he suffered as a child. And then the reveal was the brother.
Yes.
Who was supposedly killed in a fire that,
not dead.
But it turned out he's not dead. He was being kept in hiding basically and raised by Paul and brainwashed by him to be turned into the Big Red Machine, another monster.
Yeah. And overall, his look, I mean, because what you say too, when like he was held captive too, and then when you see him, big jacked up motherfucker, the 7 feet, 300 pounds,
a beast of a man.
Look, sometimes arguably would look better physically than the Undertaker at sometimes, which is kind of like, uh-oh. And then you're supposed to remember he's the little brother.
He's the little brother, but he actually dwarfed the Undertaker, who at the time, like you said, was considered like the biggest dude there.
Taker, legit 6'10", Kane, Glenn Jacob. I think he was legit 7 feet.
Yeah, I mean, the dude was just, when he walked out and rips the cage.
Yes,
that was such a visual, because nobody knew who the hell this guy was. He just comes out in this big red and black suit and the mask and the hair. It was just very Jason.
Yes,
Friday the 13th, very just like that, and it was just so awesome, and it was like a meaty storyline for them.
Yeah,
and what I always loved
how and I love how they referenced the Michael Myers sit up, but that's where the both of them got that from, where it's like like arms straight out, and then you just physically sit up, and like nothing
turns the head real fast. Yeah, the horror. It was such a great homage to the horror guys,
and also like Rick Kane's appearance.
Yeah,
because they would always say burnt face, so he had a mask on that was very cool looking. But I can imagine wrestling in that every night. Like, that must have sucked.
Yeah, because you see the openings. It was very reminiscent to. I mean, you weren't. You still were just a glimmer in your parents' eyes at the time, but in the early and mid 80s and 70s, the Halloween costumes that we had as children were these plastic masks that covered our whole face with a little rubber band behind the ears, and the eyes were just 2 slits, 2 little holes to breathe through, and a little slit at the mouth, and they were awful.
Right, and Kane's mask was leather, I believe.
Yeah, so imagine leather, at least plastic. You could kind of like, but we would be drenched. Trick or treating, we'd be drenched, especially if you wore them in school. During a little Halloween party. So have to wrestle with this big, thick leather mask that literally has the same kind of slits for eyes, little holes for the nose, and a slit for a mouth.
Yeah.
I know he must have went to the back like.
Well, it's also too when he had his long hair too. Can you imagine that hair being stuck in those like the straps?
The straps and just having to keep the hair in front. A lot of times the hair would be in the front, right? So
Right.
that's more of like a visual block. So you could probably barely see from the mask, right. And having to have his hair in his face the whole time, sweating probably, and then he has to put a little bit of the paint under his eyes to look black.
And then if you look closely, the one contact where his eyes are different colors.
Right, the one like what was it, red or white?
One of them was his regular eye color. The other one was just pure white.
Pure white.
But you can see, it was white with the pupil. So
right.
Right, like but there was also his big red outfit that one arm was exposed.
Arm exposed, still has the big glove on.
the glove that every time you see him, he always adjusted. But when you saw that one arm and how jacked this dude was, you would be like, "Wait, like it was also remind people this was the guy who was playing fake Diesel, fucking Isaac Yankum, and now this guy is on the top of the card as Kane,
right?
The fake brother of the Undertaker."
It was he
and he got insanely over.
Yeah, and he really trying to find the right word. I want to say like he really built himself up to that. Because when he was Isaac Yankum, it was such a silly character, obviously from the new era, right? He was an evil dentist with the dirty teeth.
Yeah.
Creepy. And then it got repackaged into Diesel 2.0, the new Diesel. And there could have been potential there. He looked good. I thought he actually looked better than the fake Razor. The fake Razor looked horrible. All bloated. Compared to
that was casting choice, though. That was just a bad pick for Razor.
When you saw, at least for me, when I saw the fake Diesel, I was like, well, the dude's solid. Tall dude. Well built,
arguably a better wrestler than Kevin.
Yeah, he's
more solid in the ring.
More solid ring. And
just that if you didn't call him Diesel, he could have been something.
I remember
if he wasn't fake Diesel.
Yeah, they could have repackaged him as a completely different character with that look, with a similar look, not exact, but they could have altered the look a little bit. Because I do remember his wife on the biography saying how when he had to like color his hair to match Kevin Nash's dark hair and grow it out and grew out a beard, and she was like, oh, like she loved it. She said that he was so hot for her, like, woo, and it was a major improvement.
She got very attracted to Kevin Nash.
Yeah,
the fake Kevin Nash.
Makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
But to go from that and then given this opportunity to not just be a brand new character named Kane, but to be the Undertaker's brother and work this massive program with him that lasted throughout his career as well.
I can't wait to talk about them two respectively in their own when we do their own retrospectives.
Absolutely, I agree.
Would you say these two are the best creations WWE has ever done?
I would.
Best characters, I would say.
I think so. I really do. Because to this day, they're so iconic. Generations have watched them portray these roles, right? And they went through their changes. They went through their evolutions, or sometimes, maybe a couple of steps back with their characters, especially Kane. But
I can't wait to talk about his episode when we talk about him alone.
I know. But their essence always stayed the same. Yeah. And
then can't leave the best for last because despite WWE not giving him a spot anymore because he left them due to political views, we got to give a lot of props to Mick Foley, who was never really the big potty mouth type of person, but he put his body on the line for everybody and himself.
He put his body on the line, and his promos were very psychological. Made you question half the stuff he was rambling about.
Yeah,
but it was intentional to confuse his opponents, and he just put himself out there. where you got to look back and you think, my God, what were you thinking, dude? But at the same time, respect it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was another one of those guys that said hated to wear the mask, but over time it just made his character.
You're right. Yeah. You know, as much as you may hate, and I'm sure it must not have been comfortable having to wrestle with a button-down shirt and a tie, and then his tights underneath when he pulled that look off for a little bit. Remember, that must have been so uncomfortable. Like you feel like you're right.
He went from uncomfortable to most comfortable because then he would wear the shirt and tie, but he wears those sweatpants. I'd be like, oh, if I could do everything in sweatpants, that'd be fucking fantastic.
Right? You know?
And no wrestling boots, just sneakers. Like, oh my God, this guy looks incredible.
He was
as
just
a kid.
The most chill looking guy on the whole roster was Mankind, Mick Foley, Dude Love.
Oh, let's talk about Dude Love. Where, as a fan watching, how do you go from seeing like the sick, twisted, evil Mankind to Dude Love? Pretty much was just like a fatter, geekier version of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, because you hear back his story when he first was trying to develop a character when he was young. Dude Love was one of the first iterations of Mick Foley, right? Where he was this fun-loving party guy, hippie,
chick magnet,
and the original CM Punk.
Go on.
So when he introduced it, it kind of was very jarring at first. Like, okay, what happened? But it kind of makes sense because Mankind was mentally broken, right?
Yeah.
So it would kind of make sense that he had multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, so like one minute he'd be, like you said, this dark, evil Mankind, demented, tortures himself, basically punches himself, pulls his hair out, and then you get this Dude Love character who is the complete opposite, who's bright, vibrant, wearing the tie-dyes, the sunglasses, dancing. He has girls around him.
Doesn't want to do anything physical, doesn't want to get hurt.
Right. He cuts his promos like Groovy Daddy. Oh God. It was brilliant. He showed his range there. And then he brought in the classic Cactus Jack, who was just a violent son of a bitch.
Yeah, no care for anybody, even himself or his opponents.
No.
Which, I'll say in the case for Cactus Jack, made a lot of people's careers. I will say in the case for Triple H, because there was that time in the 2000s when nobody took Triple H seriously, but the street fight at the Royal Rumble 2000, the Hell in a Cell, that was one of Mick Foley's positive impacts in wrestling, where he made people look incredible. Undertaker, arguably, he's Undertaker's greatest rival.
Absolutely.
And he made The Rock an evil bastard. He made Triple H an evil bastard. And Stone Cold too, where he helped Stone Cold get more popular. Like, because pretty much, it's funny when you mention Dude Love, where it's like he's like the calm, like cool hippie, and then when he turned heel and became corporate Dude Love, it was it was like even weird. I will ask too, did you ever try to do that dance that he did? I
don't remember it. I just remember him just doing like a little
the hands on the knees, and just going back and forth.
Yeah. I think everybody tried doing that as a kid.
I don't know. I tried to do it. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it was like it's really more the hands moving. It's a trick of the hands, the sleight of the hand. You know, where you're swapping them from knee to knee and wobbling your knees.
And we can't also forget about Mr. Sacco.
Mr. Sacco, yes.
Where
Saki would pull out of his ass, basically.
His crotch. Let's correct ourselves here.
Yes, the crotch. He would pull it out of the crotch.
Which, meanwhile, was just a throw. Was supposed to be like a throwaway in a McMahon hospital scene where it's like, oh look, it's Mr. Sacco. Hey, to make you feel better. And then like the famous like Mr. like Mr. Sacco, like, and then got over.
Yeah, this musty ass that's been sitting in his shorts all day.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope that he really didn't keep that shit in his shorts, or
No, I would. I'm sure he had
you would
it
hope he'd be like, okay, buy
Ziploc
a
bag or
bunch of
something.
pairs of socks and let's
Just
draw
paint,
faces on it.
put a little beard on, yeah. And because to have to shove it in someone's mouth and you use it on someone
Yeah,
else, because
I mean,
washing it.
there has to be a rib where somebody got a dirty sock in their mouth.
Sorry, that literally makes me gag. It's just feet. But I'm sure keeping the same sock and washing it would have faded out the face. So yeah, I'm sure he had multiple. Somebody back there bought a pack of like Costco sized bag of socks and just went at it, and let him or whoever picked the face.
Yeah, where he would draw the whole face and mouth and all those things. But
Did it have a little tie too?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah, right.
But we can talk about the Attitude Era without talking about the main antagonist, and that being Mr. Vince McMahon, who
Oh yes.
nowadays we know how evil he is in real life, but back then it was definitely one of those new things on television where it was like saying himself on television.
Right. Yeah.
And it was definitely one of those things where the idea of I want to beat my boss up became the most popular thing in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because Austin would give him a stunner every week, Rock would give him a rock bottom. He would take a Mr. Saka on the mouth, but that evil man would always come back and do something more evil every week, trying to.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Was like, what was his goal? Just like, just to make people's lives miserable on television?
I guess so. I mean, I always wondered, like, how much was he trying to manifest on TV that he had in his head to actually do as a real boss to these people, especially like the women. But yeah, he portrayed himself as that evil, patriarchy, oligarchy type of leader where it was his way or the highway.
Right.
He ran shop, he ran everyone's lives, he owned them all.
Right.
And if they didn't do his bidding, then they were out of a job.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar?
I mean, it's funny enough they're both friends, but
Yeah.
And when we talk about Mr. McMahon, there was even all the stuff that he got himself into, where he's in the hospital, his foot's broken. I'll take it from here, nurse. And the bedpan, the big kadunk on his fucking head.
God.
Mr. McMahon would bring his prize Corvette in, and Austin would just fill it up with cement, and the windows would go boom, explode.
Oh my God, those segments were just so like.
Even his first stunner.
They were cartoony,
right.
But but not in that kind of like a Looney Tunes cartoony, but just something that you as especially when you were already like a young adult working. Makes you wish you could do that sometimes to the boss that you had.
Right.
Because I remember at the time I was working at a small corporate office, and it was just a bunch of wrestling fans there. And I was, at one point, the one woman in the department because it was IT. At the time, IT was very male-dominated. And we were all wrestling fans. And they were like, you like wrestling? And forget it. It was just like, we would just literally like, can you imagine doing that? And we would talk about the boss, who was a nice guy. He was just annoying. But like one of them really wanted to stun the hell out of him at the office.
Like if you had one day to get away with just hitting your boss for the way you'd be treated or something. And even there's some people that quit their jobs because of how they reacted to Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon on television every week.
Right. It kind of like opened people's eyes to what they were enduring at work. Like, I don't need to tolerate this crap.
Yeah.
I can't punch him. I can't assault the guy because I don't want to go to, get arrested, but I'm quitting.
So we had all that fun stuff. And meanwhile, I think the audience changed from old school wrestling fans to now the teenagers, the frat houses, all those people started to come in. So then it was like, okay. Right. And you've alluded to it before. You just alluded to it before saying that they had a special word for women's breasts, where
Right.
it was.
Thank you, Jerry Lawler.
Thank you, Road Dog,
Oh,
because
right. Well,
that's because he was the
yes,
first
you're
one
right.
to bring it up. Where
Yes, and then Jerry just ran with it.
yeah, where he was like puppies. That sounds fun, puppies.
Puppies.
And it was just very uncomfortable to watch. It's even more uncomfortable going back and watching because you would have these women
Mm.
like a Terry, a Deborah, a Miss Kitty that would say, "Yes, let me show my tits on TV. Let me try and show them on TV, and there'd be nothing wrong with it."
Right.
Godfather would be. We're gonna get into characters in the attitude there, but Godfather would be like, "If I beat you, Jeff, Deborah's gonna be my hoe." She'd be like, "Okay,
Right.
she's property
Sure, I'll
now."
be your hoe. Like what? It was just a whole fantasy land. It was just a fantasy. Like I said, it was Vince manifesting his fantasies on TV because he knew that in real life he may not have been able to pull some of this off. Even though yeah.
I mean, look at the characters that were around this time.
Yeah.
Val Venus, the porn star.
Oh my gosh.
Godfather, the pimp.
The pimp with his
Uh,
hose.
I mean, anybody else that stands out from memory as like these characters around this time? Because I mean, you had the Boss Man, who was like from the Hogan era, but
Yeah.
more vicious, more evil. Where he's
Right,
cooking Al Snow's dog, and then
he
he's
became-
making fun. He's making fun of
yes.
the Big Show's dead dad.
He became the abusive cop.
Right.
Yeah, you had the Boss Man. You had gosh, why am I blanking out all of a sudden? There's just so many of them that it kind of like they all kind of like.
I mean, like
But
a character like you had Ken Shamrock running around, who was like a legit fighter. Steve
killing,
Blackman
just killing
too.
people, taking chair shots straight to the face.
You know, that chair.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you haven't seen Shamrock, who still this day said the best way to take a chair shot is to the forehead.
It's
Okay,
to
cool.
the forehead and not the back of the head, which I don't think there's any good way to take a chair shot to your head. But
If you're trying to be a wrestler, put your hand up, block it.
word, like you don't got to be a tough guy. Come on, we know you're tough, Ken Shamrock. We know you're tough. We don't need to see. You don't need to turn The Rock into a freaking. Jesus, man. The Rock really loves swinging chairs on people's heads, huh?
Yeah, I mean, also like the New Age Outlaws, who arguably was very over around this time. Who,
Yes.
when you look at the merchandise sales, they're like number 3
Right.
behind Austin and Rock.
You know, they had that amazing chemistry and the pre-match promo that everybody knew by heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. D-Generation probably brings to you your WWF Tag Team Champions of the World, Road Dogg Jesse James, Badass Billy Gunn, New Age Outlaws. And then there are other characters like Sexual Chocolate, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
Yeah, Sexual Chocolate. You also had, even before that, the whole Nation of Domination.
Yeah, let's talk about the Nation gimmick for a second.
Yeah.
Pretty much 4 strong African American men,
Right.
and Owen Hart eventually.
Yes, it's very Black Panther. Very Black Panther esque.
Yeah, that was the initial like early on when they started coming around, where you had Farouk starting these cutting these promos like very strongly promos where you people don't want to see a black man as champion. You people don't want to see us succeed.
Yes, and they all had that eventually very Louis Farrakhan Muslim Brotherhood style of the way they would dress with the hat, the colors, the African colors on the red, the green, the yellow, and I don't think a lot of people took them seriously in the beginning until they brought The Rock in.
Yeah.
And I think people were a little thrown off by that at first because they were like, The Rock came in as this good guy, happy-go-lucky, smiley face.
Yeah, but fans quickly turned on him and started chanting, "Die, right. Rocky, die."
People didn't like it. People thought it was too new era-ish at a time where the product was already changing to more edgy.
Yeah.
His look, the bright colors with the homage to his Samoan heritage.
Yes.
But it was just too, I think at that point people were so used to seeing like the Samoans be these
savages,
right? So to see this good guy come in acting all happy-go-lucky, he looked almost clownish.
Samoans used to be like bare feet, come out eating like food before their
Raw
matches,
chicken and shit,
pulling each other by the hair, just running down to the ring, not
headbutting
caring.
each other and all that stuff. Yeah. And then, but they realized they needed to change this kid or else he was going to just drown. It was just, make him a heel. And that was the best thing they could have done for him. Make him a heel, put him in this faction.
And when they did that, it took away the serious undertones of the nation to pretty much just Rock has goons now.
Yeah, like he took over the whole group, which Farouk wasn't happy about.
Yeah, he kicked him out.
Basically. And, we got to see what he could really give in the mic. He started cutting these promos that, they weren't as crazy as they were in the beginning, but you realize he could talk.
Yeah, there's one promo where this is when the nation DX were feuding, and China was going to stand up to the nation, and then they had her, they held her down and had her on her knees, and The Rock said, "Damn, China, you look good on your knees in that position." And
right.
Like, wow.
And he ran with that kind of style.
And also, too, I will say for The Rock, once he broke off from the nation, then he did his corporation run where I pretty much got over, because that's when he started doing the catchphrases. If you smell what The Rock is cooking,
right, wearing the shirts,
people jabroni, a lot of those things. Very bullyish, because like we talked about this in our Cena perspective, where he had cut those promos where it felt very demeaning. Rock was pretty much just an asshole to everybody.
Yeah, he was.
What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
It's like, his character finally found his place. He was no longer Rocky Maivia. He was The Rock. He was making money. He had his Versace shirts and he had his Rolex watches. Always had his nice pressed pants on, his loafers, sunglasses, always looking sharp as hell.
And his hairstyle was always famous with the
Elvis sideburns, and because he loved Elvis, he was a big fan of Elvis, so he kind of emulated him with that. And it was just like, look at me, I am successful now, I am popular, I'm better than all of you.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about factions too, we have like the Ministry of Darkness, which was one of those groups where just misfit toys, and the Undertaker.
I loved it though. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it was so weird. I love that kind of stuff. So for me, it was like when I saw the Undertaker go from the cartoon character Undertaker to this
Lord of Darkness,
twisted, demonic Lord of Darkness, cult leaderish. Ooh,
that's why you like Damian Priest, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's what Damian Priest is missing nowadays. He needs a Ministry of Darkness.
He does. He needs to go back to. He needs to turn heel again and have a dark cult for himself again.
He's already referred to as the Bondage Undertaker, so might as well go full on with it.
Just go full on with it. Even though the Undertaker was already the Bondage Undertaker, when you look at some of those promo pictures of him back then, because he had the little cutouts too, and all the.
He was definitely trying some stuff before before the Undertaker, where like before you said he's just a dead zombie. Then he comes back in 2000 as the Biker Taker, which is a different side of him, which is pretty much his normal self.
Yeah, it was just Mark Calloway.
Yeah, with Kid Rock, and then eventually Limp Bizkit playing his
I will say I know a lot of people love that era of the Undertaker. I didn't like it at all because it was like.
Do you prefer Ministry? So you prefer Ministry Taker over American Badass?
Right. If you're going to be the Undertaker, keep the character. Like I said, the essence of the character true. Like you just stripped yourself completely of the character. You just became Mark, and you're just wearing. Oh, when he cut his hair. Oh my gosh! When he cut his hair, I remember a friend of mine called me crying because for her it felt like the Undertaker died that day.
Well, before he even cut his hair, remember when his hair turned red? His natural hair color.
Right, he stopped dyeing it black. Let his red hair come out.
JR famously would call like booger red.
JR. Oh, good old JR. But
I mean, we also mentioned JR here. It's like him and JR was the best commentary team during this era.
my God,
A cowboy and a king.
they were just a cowboy and a king. The banter between those two, nobody could ever touch to this day. And it's missing too. I feel like a lot of the stuff missing today is that true banter. Like they try, but it doesn't. It comes off very disingenuous now.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only one that I feel like can give that good banter is Nigel McGuinness over in AEW. Yeah. He'll say some things off the cuff that you're like, what?
Right.
Did he really just say that real quick there? What Jerry Lawler would do.
Yeah, and with the attitude there, it's not all just beer trucks and bonies, all this crazy nonsense that people would be driving, more specifically Austin, be driving in hard. But there's a lot greater. There was abundance of in-ring talent at this point too, especially in the mid card that could have been elevated if they actually tried. Guys like Adilo Brown or Jeff Jarrett. Yeah. Guys who eventually made the jump from WCW. Chris Jericho became a bigger star over here in the Attitude Era.
Yes.
Another guy that made it up faster than anybody, Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
The minute he jumped on the scene was a fucking main eventer right away.
I mean, you can't blame them. The guy came in, running. I mean, he already had that amateur wrestling experience, which definitely helped. He picked up pro wrestling very quickly, and there was that character that he developed where he came in as the good guy, All-American, Olympian, gold medal, won it with a broken freaking neck. But once they turned him heel, it was all that plus he was lethal in the ring.
It's so funny because he does interview. He goes, "I wanted to be Stone Cold."
Right.
It's like he was so much better because it's like in his mind he thought, "I'm gonna get cheered," because like who would boo me because I'm a fucking gold medalist? But it was like the minute on day one, it's like you do not boo a gold medalist. How dare you people?
How dare you people?
I have the 3 eyes: integrity, intelligence, and I forgot the fucking third one. Integrity, intensity, intelligence.
Intelligence, yes, the 3 eyes, and then. It's true.
Yes. And then another famous jump from one company to another that got himself more over was the Big Show, the Giant.
Yeah.
Who, I will say, booking-wise, could have been much bigger than what they did.
Yes, I agree.
Because Vince was always like, oh, WCW doesn't know how to book him. Then when you bring him over, okay. Because you're looking at him like, this is going to be Austin's biggest test. If somebody's going to beat up Stone Cold for Vince McMahon, it's going to be the Big Show.
Right.
And you beat him instantly just because, hey, he's WCW, so fuck you.
Yeah.
But Big Show could have been much bigger. Not just physically, but I'm talking popularity-wise.
Yeah, and he was pretty popular. I mean, people to this day still love him. And he wasn't just this typical big giant man that would just come in and toss people around. I mean, the dude has skills. The dude would do things that you would be like mind blown for the man of his size. I remember the first time I saw him throw a drop kick
on the top rope.
Yeah, from the top rope like a freaking missile. I would have been terrified to be the person on the opposite end of that drop kick.
And he did have a really good physique too.
He was.
Because when you're 7 feet, 500 pounds, and you built like a fucking tank and just the big shoulders, he did it to himself too because he had to eat. He loved to eat. He loved to smoke. So he really didn't take anything seriously. So
right, unfortunately, then he did start gaining all that weight, and he started moving slower. He couldn't do the moves that he was doing. It was a little harder to watch him in the ring because you knew his knees were shot to hell. And then they turned him into like that side character.
Right. And like you would have your Canes and the Undertakers, like the Giants in the company would try to like help him, but it's like work like a giant.
Right.
But it was also like Big Show would do like cool things like outside the ring, like when he make his entrance, instead of like going over the top rope, this fucker was jumping over the top rope.
Yes. Right. He would catapult himself like, a little whoop over the top rope. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, the guy, in his prime physique era, he could have been doing some phenomenal things in the ring with some of these guys.
He could have been a bigger attraction than Andre.
Oh yeah.
Because Andre was just an attraction alone. It didn't matter what his matches were like.
Right. Because his matches weren't, looking back, obviously. He was that big guy that would pick things up and put things down and sit on people or put his whole, step on their, remember he would step on their chest and grab the rope.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think, in the interview that Bret Hart did where they had like a singles match. It's just a random singles match. And Bret said that Andre wanted the match. And then at one point he did the whole standing on his chest spot and he wanted to die. He said he couldn't breathe. No matter how he tried to be gentle with it. How can you be gentle when you're 500 pounds? And 7 feet tall. 7 feet plus. You can't. Yeah. So yeah, Big Show could have taken himself to that level.
Yeah. But unfortunately, he's still one of the bigger names in wrestling, but of course, there could have been more.
He's still iconic. And also, I think a lot of the physical demands on his body took over, Yeah. But now you look at him, even though he doesn't wrestle anymore, he looks great. He started taking care of himself better. I
think last I posted, I think he's down to like 380.
Which is amazing.
For a guy his height.
I don't know if he intends to step foot back in the ring at one point. I don't know.
I mean, he probably wants to have one final match because he probably wants to go out on top. But maybe. We'll see on him.
Maybe him and Brody.
Maybe.
Two big dudes.
But and then arguably the better talents came over, and this was still the answer there where you had Benoit, Guerrero, Sandro, and Malenko, and 2 out of 4 made themselves bigger names in the other 2 there. Benoit, say what you will, what he did later on, but I'm going to use this word loosely, but he looked like he was a fucking killer going in there against like guys like Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold, Jericho, Angle.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Guerrero, too, who had a slow start, but picked it up and became one of the more popular characters and wrestlers on the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, all the charisma. I mean, we've spoken about him already. The charisma he had and skill, obviously. He's one of the best to do it in the ring to this day. Absolutely, without a doubt. He packaged himself in a way that is unforgettable.
Yeah. And then, as far as angles go for the Attitude Era, they had some hits and misses.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of misses. I mean, having Hawk jump off the Titantron trying to kill himself.
Right.
Then you had Terry Reynolds' miscarriage.
Yeah.
Mae Young giving birth to a hand.
Oh my God, Mae Young.
You get
She's a trooper.
You gotta give her a hand. Yeah. Funny.
She was a trooper. Her and me, Mula. They were troopers. They were tough broads for sure.
Talking about troopers, talking about Patterson and Briscoe.
Oh my
The Stooges.
Lord.
Every week they do something stupid.
They were so silly.
Can I get you coffee, Mr. McMahon?
Yo, my God, they were so silly. I totally forgot about their shenanigans.
The famous hardcore lingerie, evening gown match where Joe Briscoe was not happy and Pat Patterson was excited as fuck to do it.
He was so happy to be in a gown. And you know what? Good for him for being able to finally be himself.
Right.
In older age, because back in the day,
and the crowd would not know what the hell we're talking about, but he was a gay man, and he wanted to express himself.
Right, and he came up in the wrestling business in 60s, 70s, where no one talked about that. It was very taboo. It was very considered a sin, to be gay, to be a homosexual. And people knew back then that he was. He never really hid his life behind the scenes with his coworkers. They knew that he had a boyfriend, but it caused a lot of issues.
Yeah, some legal problems. Like we'll say the ring
Right.
boy incident.
Yeah, all that stuff, but
But
to be able to finally, in his older age, be himself on screen,
right.
like you said, that evening gown moment was. You couldn't help but chuckle, like, "Good for you, bro. Good for you."
Other moments. I mean, the beer truck.
Oh,
You never saw a fucking beer truck like go full speed inside an arena, but you saw it when it's still cold. The beer bath.
The beer bath and just pulls the hose out and then the milk truck was another one. Oh,
I think that one might be worse because that was just. I think that was like water with like food covering.
yeah.
But it's just
Can you imagine actually spraying people with actual milk
at full pressure?
Oh, and then milk gets
Expires.
smell really quick. So.
But with the beer truck, the visual of Vince like swimming is always one of those classic ones
on the canvas. Like Vince, you know what? Vince did play his character to a T.
Yeah.
Because when it was time to be a bumbling idiot, he played the bumbling idiot beautifully.
If you're talking about Vince, we're talking about his family. I mean, Linda, wooden as fuck, didn't know how to cut a promo or emote. There was never any emotion when it came to Linda. Never any emotion with Linda. No. I will put Mick Foley in the main
like
event.
that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, she's so hard to watch now.
And then when you look at their kids, Shane, it was a reckless daredevil who everybody pretty much liked the most out of all four of them.
Yeah, because and Stephanie was the snotty, spoiled princess.
Yeah.
Who had to have everything her way, or she would start crying and screaming and throwing tantrums.
Who was very
slapping
sweet
people around because she felt like she could slap everybody around because she's the boss's daughter.
Yeah, very sweet and innocent when she has the love thing with Test, and then turns evil when she gets married to Triple H by force.
Right. Yes, but it wasn't by force at all. It was all a ruse to get at her father.
Yeah, because how dare Daddy try to sacrifice her? Yeah, that was another one. The sacrifice. The marriage between Stephanie and Taker that was supposed to happen on Raw.
Oh my god, that visual of her on the crucifix in that big gothic dress, and she's like, "No."
The only funny part about that segment was like Paul Bearer, who was like presiding over the ceremony, goes, "It's opposite day. That means yes."
Yo, Paul Bearer was,
yeah. And Paul Bearer had, just quickly on him, he had very different looks. I mean, his weight fluctuated. He tried to lose a lot of weight, but when you remember him from white face, black hair to then pale white skin to like normal skin color and then red hair. Like many different versions of him, and then he went back to black hair, white, pale face.
I think back in the 80s, he had the bleach blonde hair because everybody wanted to have that nature boy look in wrestling. Like, come on, like a sale on hair bleach or something back then that everybody.
So then we have all these fun moments, and then the Attitude Era. This is when people said the Attitude Era died. The day WrestleMania 17, Austin and McMahon shake hands.
Yes.
Austin sells his soul to the devil himself.
The devil himself, right?
Is that is that the time you think the Attitude Era died?
I could see that because it kind of burst the bubble for everyone.
Like after all these years, you're gonna shake the damn man's hand.
Yeah, everybody was loving Austin as the anti-establishment guy who was kicking his boss's ass left and right, up and down, every which way that you could think of, and being that rebel, living out people's dreams and fantasies basically at work. And suddenly he aligns himself with the guy that he wanted to torture, that he wanted to make miserable,
all for a title, all just to be on top.
Like, it just you feel like, oh, you sold out.
Yeah.
And then it just burst everyone's bubble of who this character was. And I could see, it's a turnoff. Like, nobody wanted to see that. Nobody wanted to see that. Nobody.
We're a little turned off because that's when people started turning off the show. Fans were driven away.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no more ECW. There was no more WCW. WWF was the lone company standing.
Yeah.
And now Austin reveals that he wanted to go heel, so that's one of those like things where he wanted to do it, but it was one of those things looking back on it, not like that.
Right.
There could have been other ways.
Yeah. And, a lot of fans, like you said, stopped watching. Either they stopped watching altogether because their favorite guy was no longer the guy that they wanted to cheer for.
That was the only option. Everything else was gone.
Turned to start exploring and discovered indie wrestling.
Right.
Even though this was 2001.
Yeah.
Indie wrestling kind of really took off in 2002 with Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
And TNA eventually developed kind of like out of Ring of Honor when you really think about the majority of the guys that were there.
Yeah.
And, people discovered that and could have been something bigger.
Yeah.
Even WWE a little bit more of an edge to try a little better with how they approach things. I mean, they were still very popular, without a doubt.
They still had like millions of fans watching. It just wasn't as big as it was because I mean, some of the Raws in Attitude Era would draw like 8s or 9s or even 10s.
Huge numbers, yeah. They wish they could draw those numbers now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they started bringing in those new faces that we spoke about during the John Cena series.
Yeah. And that's going to be the next era we talk about, which we're going to talk about the Ruthless Aggression era.
Aggression, yes.
Where we're going to go over pretty much that weird time period between 2001 and 2002 where they were still trying with some Attitude Era type of stuff. Some legends started making their appearance again.
Mm-hmm.
More specifically like Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels, who had their big runs.
Yeah, Hall and Nash tried to come in and
some characters that were big in the Attitude Era started changing overall.
Correct.
And that's pretty much all we have to talk about for the Attitude Era. I mean, there's a lot more stuff. I mean, I didn't really go into the Bret Hart Montreal Screwjob stuff, but that could be a different time for a different place.
That could be a whole episode on itself.
Yeah, but Attitude Era wise, I think it's very much fantasized as the greatest wrestling era, but it did have some hiccups along the way where there's definitely some stuff you wish I didn't see that or they didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's perfect. Obviously, nothing will ever be perfect. There are going to be moments where you look back and you cringe big time at some of the stuff that they did. At the time, it was more acceptable. Now it's like, wow, you guys would have been so taken off the air if you try to do something like that now.
Right.
And it's funny how when Netflix got the deal, that people really thought that we were going to start seeing more of that Attitude Era come back. More of the edgier language, edgier storylines. And we haven't seen that at all.
Right.
At all. Maybe one or two little S-bombs dropped. But other than that, they actually reverted even further back to a more cleaner product because now they're very corporate. Literally corporate. Now they're truly corporate.
I mean, if people want potty mouth words, they say bitch every week. So it's like, what more do you want?
Bitch is so tame compared to
right.
But if if you want to take the potty mouth stuff, the other guys could give you that.
Yeah.
Just with MJF alone.
I mean, if you want great wrestling, you got it. These are the best athletes in the world right now.
Yeah.
Attitude Era had some of them, like we mentioned. We highlighted like a few of them, but a lot of the other stuff too. There was not that many good wrestlers in the Attitude Era as well.
Right. They'll, which why we would see a lot of brawling happen.
Right.
Oh, you know, we never even spoke about the supermarket brawl.
Well, that's like we'll bring that up with the Gusher, because that was when. Yeah, that's around the time when like WCW closed, and we'll get into all that next time, because that's when.
Yes, we do. We have to, because that segment
that's the Invasion era too.
That segment by itself deserves its own episode.
Yeah. But that's going to be it for this Attitude Era special episode. And everybody, please like, comment, and subscribe. Tap the bell for notifications on when you can receive the new episodes.
Follow, share.
Merchandise, tpublic.com.
tpublic.com, New York Wrestle Media.
If you want to listen to us on all podcasting outlets, we are on there as well as, I believe, New York Wrestle Media. Or just look up History and Headlocks and you'll find us.
Yes.
And the next time you see us, we'll be going live on the channel for a special brand warfare episode where I'll be drafted for WWE and Ari will be drafted for AEW.
Yep, that's going to be really fun. Really, really fun.
So definitely subscribe for that one. And until next time, class is dismissed.
See you tomorrow.
Sit, turn type, sit. Good boy. Ruff.